Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into a massive flaw in how modern organizations are run. We are talking about the telemetry grid. Specifically, why governing your scaling business with standard, backward-looking financial reports is functionally identical to flying a commercial airplane by looking exclusively at the post-crash flight recorder. I know, it sounds absolutely absurd when you put it that way. But as you'll see as we unpack these concepts today, it's exactly what most corporate vehicles are doing right now. So let me kick things off by asking you a very direct question. Are you steering your company by the rearview mirror? Think about your own operations for a second. When an operational breakdown happens in your scaling enterprise, maybe it's a bottleneck in fulfillment, a drop in sales pipeline quality, or a localized client handoff failure, does it take weeks to actually manifest as a financial deficit? In most businesses, by the time an operational breakdown finally shows up on a monthly profit and loss statement, the actual failure happened weeks, maybe even months ago. The damage? Yeah, it's completely done. Okay, let's look at the core paradigm shift here. On one side, we have how most businesses operate, lagging financial indicators, monthly P&Ls, quarterly cash flow reviews, backward-looking churn reports. These are basically autopsies. High-velocity vehicles, though, operate entirely differently. They replace those backward-looking reports with live operational telemetry. They gather leading micro-indicators straight from the active workflow nodes. They don't wait for the quarter to close. They're measuring the heartbeat of the operation in real time.
All right, moving right into Node 1, the neurobiology of immediate feedback.
To really grasp why these delayed reports are blinding your business, we need to look past business school theories and look directly at biology. What's absolutely fascinating is how human motor learning perfectly mirrors corporate performance. Our procedural adjustment relies entirely on two things: rapid cerebellar predictive loops and dopaminergic error signaling. Sounds like a mouthful, right? But in plain English, your brain relies entirely on immediate error signals to associate a remedial correction with an initial mistake. Think about it. If you touch a hot stove, your brain gets an immediate error signal, and your motor loop pulls your hand back. That instant feedback is literally a biological requirement for survival.
But what happens if that feedback is delayed? Well, when feedback delay exceeds your operational tolerance, systemic performance drift occurs. Let's go back to that stove. If you touch it, but the sensory feedback is delayed by a month, exactly like a monthly financial report, your hand just burns off. The brain's predictive control loops are essentially blinded. It can't associate the burn with the action of touching the stove. In a corporate environment, this delayed feedback causes minor, easily correctable deviations to silently compound over weeks into catastrophic structural failures.
And here is the kicker. This is a stunning piece of data confirmed by our source. Dropping feedback latency down toward near real time improves team-level error correction rates by over 400%. 400%! That is a massive structural advantage. Immediate feedback doesn't just make people aware of mistakes, it fundamentally changes the rate at which those mistakes are permanently corrected.
Which really begs the question, right? If a biological organism couldn't possibly survive on delayed monthly sensory reports, why would your corporate operations be any different? Managing an organization through delayed monthly reports literally blinds the system's predictive control loops. It completely prevents your team from associating the outcome with the action in real time.
This brings us perfectly to Node 2, leading metric calibration for continuous governance.
So how do we actually build this? How do we set up a functional, live corporate nervous system to replace those post-crash financial autopsies? Well, it requires a specific blueprint, the 4-step Telemetry Grid Framework. We go from sensor node placement to latency compression, then to automated threshold alarms, and finally, asynchronous remediation loops. Embedding real-time data sensors at every single workflow stage is exactly what restores that rapid corrective action. Let's break these down one by one. Step 1 forces us to lay the groundwork: sensor node placement. We have to identify high-sensitivity leading indicators directly at the source across all major phases, so acquisition, fulfillment, and client handoffs. And look, we are not looking for revenue numbers here. We're looking for the micro actions that actually produce the revenue. Examples would be ticket resolution velocity or task dwell time. Task dwell time is a great one because it tells you exactly how long a project just sits idle in someone's inbox between departments. If task dwell time spikes today, your fulfillment revenue drops next month. You need a sensor on the dwell time, right now. Okay, step 2 is latency compression. We must completely eliminate archaic batch-based weekly reporting. Because let's be honest, a weekly report is still a delayed neurobiological signal. Instead, we replace it with automated, real-time visual dashboards. The data has to flow continuously. The entire goal here is to compress the time between the action occurring on the floor and the leadership team seeing the result down to near zero.
Moving to step 3, automated threshold alarms. Once you have real-time dashboards, you definitely don't want your managers just staring at screens all day. That's incredibly inefficient. Instead, you configure automated early warning radars. These programmatic trigger gates alert system leads the exact millisecond a leading operational metric drifts by more than 3%. You don't find out a metric was down at the end of the week. A digital alarm fires the moment it steps out of bounds, allowing you to instantly correct that predictive loop.
Finally, we reach step 4, asynchronous remediation loops. This is really where the magic happens. When that 3% alarm fires, what happens next? Do you schedule an emergency Zoom meeting? No way. You hard-code predefined standard protocols. You trigger automatic workflow adjustments based on the specific alarm. This immediately restores rapid corrective action without ever needing to pull your leads into a real-time emergency sync meeting. The system feels the burn, pulls its hand away from the stove, and just keeps moving.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought for our explainer today. Take a really hard look at your own dashboards, your own team meetings, your own metrics. Are you managing a living, breathing telemetry grid that catches and corrects errors the second they happen? Or are you simply steering by the rearview mirror, waiting until the end of the month to read the financial autopsy report? If you want to scale a high-velocity enterprise, you've got to turn on the sensors. Thanks so much for diving into this with me.